Hey everybody, we are given a function f of x is equal to the quantity x squared minus 4 raised to the 2/3 power, and we are trying to use our calculus knowledge to determine the local max and minimum values, as well as the function's increasing and decreasing intervals. So we know the first derivative, which is the slope of the tangent line. The first derivative will tell us whether the function is on its way up or on its way down. So we're going to use the first derivative and the first derivative test to answer this question. So let's begin with the first derivative. And you will notice that this function is a composite function. So we have the outer function being a function raised to the 2/3 power, and the inner function being the quantity x squared minus 4. So we need to utilize the chain rule. So our derivative will be 2/3 times the quantity x squared minus 4 to the negative 1/3 power. That's the first part of the chain rule. And then remember that we chain on the derivative of the inner function, the g of x function. So we are chaining on the derivative of x squared minus 4, which is 2x. If we simplify a little bit here, basically we can multiply. We have essentially 4x over 3 times the x squared minus 4 to the negative 1/3 power. And then I like to go ahead and recognize that we have a negative exponent. So that's going to turn this into a fraction. And then it's also raised to the 1/3 power, which is going to ultimately leave us with a cube root. So I'm going to prefer to write this as 4x divided by, and then on the denominator we have 3 times the cubed root of x squared minus 4. And I like this format for the derivative because it is a big fraction, and we are interested in determining critical numbers. Critical numbers, remember, are going to be those values where the derivative is equal to 0 or where the derivative is undefined. And if we have our derivative written as a big fraction, then if we want this entire fraction to equal 0, we essentially just need the numerator, the top of the fraction, to equal 0. And if we're interested in the derivative being undefined, that would only happen if the denominator of a fraction was equal to 0. So we will set the denominator equal to 0 and then solve both of these equations. So dividing by 4, we have x is equal to 0. Now on this side here, we could technically do all the algebra, dividing by 3 and then, undoing the cube root by cubing both sides. But I would really encourage you to actually just think about this expression. And we know this is really only going to equal 0 if the inside of this radical is equal to 0. So you can either do both of the algebraic steps of dividing by 3 and cubing both sides, or just recognize that really the variable is inside of the radical, so this will only equal 0 if x squared minus 4 is equal to 0, which will factor into x plus 2 times x minus 2. So we'll have x is equal to both positive and negative 2. Those are the values that cause the denominator of the derivative to equal 0. Now, before we jump ahead and assume that these are all three going to be critical numbers, it is really important that we go back to the original function. So I'm going to rewrite the original up here, the original function, and we want to remember to look at the domain because critical numbers have to be numbers in the original function's domain. So this function is raised to the 2/3 power. So if I rewrite that as a radical, we know that is technically a cubed root. So it'd be like the cubed root of x squared minus 4 raised to the 2nd power. And we know that a cubed root has a domain of all real numbers. So the domain for the original function is negative infinity to positive infinity. Therefore, we do have 3 critical numbers. Now that we have our critical numbers, these are the places where the derivative is either equal to 0 or perhaps undefined. So these are potential places where the derivative may change sign. So we're going to go ahead and do our first derivative test. So we take our critical numbers and we place them on a number line, I often will like to put a little f prime here just to remind myself that I'm doing the first derivative test. And then we are going to be testing values around these critical numbers. So I'm going to test a number smaller than -2, a number in between -2 and 0, something between 0 and 2, and something larger than 2. Now remember, when we're testing these values into the derivative because we're interested in determining the value of the derivative, which is the slope of the original function. If the slope is positive, then we know that the original function was increasing. If the slope's negative, the original function's decreasing. So I'm going to be substituting -3 into my derivative. And you have a calculator. You could certainly just do that on a calculator, but it's not too bad to do in your head. In fact, many people won't even write this down and just do the computation quickly in their heads. I'm going to write it just to show what I'm doing. Here I'm substituting in a -3. You'll notice that the numerator will give me -12. I'm just going to put a negative sign on top because that's really all that matters, is that it yields a negative. And then we would have in the denominator -3 squared, which is 9, and 9 minus 4 is +5. The cubed root of a +5 will also be a positive value. So we get a negative divided by a positive, so ultimately that's going to be a negative. Same thing if I substitute in -1, 4 times -1, in the numerator you see we have a negative. But in the denominator, we're going to end up with the cubed root of -1 squared minus 4. So now -1 squared is +1 and 1 minus 4 is -3. So we are taking the cubed root of a -3, which will give us a negative in the denominator. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I encourage you to go ahead and test the next two values. Pause the video and let's make sure that your signs match mine. In the end, we should ultimately get a negative and then another positive here. So now we need to do our analysis of our first derivative test. The negative means the slope of the original function is negative. And if the slope is negative, then you know the original function is decreasing or on its way down. So we have a decreasing interval. And then the positive slope means that the function is increasing. So if you can imagine, a function that goes from decreasing and changes to increasing is going to have a local minimum. So we're going to have a minimum occur at -2. Likewise, if the function changes from a positive derivative, meaning the function is increasing, and then changes to decreasing on the other side, again, increasing to decreasing is going to tell us that we have a maximum of some sort. And then likewise, if the first derivative goes from negative to positive again, the slope is changing from negative to positive on the original function. That means that we have a local min. So that first derivative, it gives us a lot of information. Now the increasing intervals will be where we have positive first derivatives. So the function is increasing on the interval -2 to 0. So x is an element of the interval from -2 to 0, and then it increases again from 2 to infinity, where the first derivative is positive. Then the original function must be decreasing from -infinity to -2, and then again from 0 to 2. So that first derivative is going to tell us the intervals where the function's increasing and decreasing, and then it also tells us about our maximum and minimum values. So we know we have a local min at -2, but this problem asked you for the local max and min values. So we actually need the y values. So we need to substitute -2 back into the original function. So the original function was x squared minus 4. So that would be -2 squared minus 4, and then that was raised to the 2/3 power, which of course you can do on your calculator, but you can see 4 minus 4 is 0, so we get a nice output here of just 0. So 0 is going to be our local minimum value. The value is the output, the y value. And next we've got 0. We said that was going to be the location of a local maximum. So substituting that back into the original function is going to give us -4 raised to the 2/3 power. That does not work out nicely, so you could either leave it in this exact form or go to your calculator. And that's approximately 2.52. So this output, this y value, is the local maximum value. And then lastly, you have +2. And you will notice that when you substitute in +2, because you are squaring it, you're going to get the same output as when we subbed in -2. So that's going to be another output of 0, which is another min value. So we really have one local minimum value, which is 0. It just occurs at two different places. It occurs at x equals -2 and x equals +2. And then we have one local max value of 2.52, and that occurs at x equals 0. So you really have to just read a problem carefully to know whether or not you're being asked to find just the max or min value, which is the y value, or if you're asked to find the coordinate where the local maximum or minimum actually occurs. Now, I'm a big fan of checking my work utilizing either Desmos or a graphing calculator. So I'm going to pull up Desmos, and I encourage you to do so at the same time. And let's go ahead and take a look at the graph of the original function, which was x squared minus 4, and that was raised to the 2/3 power. And then very quickly, we have a nice visual here. You can see that we definitely have a local minimum. We actually have two local minimum points, but you can see one is occurring at -2 and the other is at -2. But the actual minimum value, the y value, is 0, just like we found in our algebraic work. And then we have a maximum right here occurring at x equals 0, and you see that the max value, it does look to be in between 2 and 3, which matches. We had approximately 2.5. Yay! All of our work looks great.